Hey folks, welcome to my live Q&A. It's been not so long now since the last time I did this. Only a couple of weeks maybe. But before that, there was a long dry spell, as we might be able to say. But that's okay. Thank you for joining me. Good morning. It is, of course, 10 o'clock here on the East Coast, 7 o'clock way over there on the West Coast, and a couple of other times in between. So thank you for joining. I know it's early, and then across the pond, it's probably, around midday? I think there's 6 hours difference there. So there is that. And if you're on the other side of the world, in the East, I think it's tomorrow already. So there you have it. Thanks for joining. We certainly appreciate you coming and checking out all of our videos. And here I am. I'm ready to answer your questions and see how everything's going. We are getting ready just for the current state of the Dice Tower address. We are getting ready this week to go to the Gathering next week. So there is that. The Gathering is where we can find a lot of different, not really prototypey, but games that are going to be coming out this year. There are a lot of producers and publishers that attend the Gathering, and they like to show off their stuff as early as possible. So we're kind of looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing all the peeps that go there again as well. I already have a game of Blood Rage scheduled, loosely scheduled, that is. At some point during the week, I'm going to get at least one game of Blood Rage in, which is cool because the Gathering is largely a Eurogamer type style convention. That's the vibe that's there. So there's that. But anyway, good morning and welcome. All right, let's see here. A bunch of clocks. Austin Carpenter. Thank you. Appreciate that. Don't know what that means. Morning all. Hope you all have a great day. And I can talk too. All right, good morning. Love the funk intro. Good morning. Cole Switzer. What is the best expansion for Terraforming Mars? Chad, why would you ask me that question? Oh goodness, I don't know. I'm one of those. I don't think Terraforming Mars needs an expansion. I liked the base game better. Now, I've played the game exactly, I think, 3 times. The first 2 times were with no expansions. I may have only played it twice. Now, come to think of it, but the first 1 or 2 times was without expansions, and I enjoyed that experience. It was a little strange because I was still learning how to play the game, but the third time I played with all the expansions at the same time. That was a mistake, and I'm sorry, I apologize. But it was a very long game, and it was like TI4 long. And so if I'm going to play a space, sci-fi, well, I guess Terraforming, well, yeah, it kind of is. I guess it's kind of sci-fi, but I'm gonna err on the side of a little bit more of a Merithrashy if I'm going to play that kind of game for that long. So yeah, I don't. But again, I'm weird. I'm the outlier in that conversation. So don't really take my word for that. 3 p.m. here in the south of UK. Yes, around midday. that was general. Any thoughts in International Tabletop Day being June 1st during UKGE and CommandCon? Yeah, I don't really care either way. I mean, it's you can have a tabletop day anytime you want, really. Do I think it was kind of strange for them to schedule it during a couple of conventions? Well, sure, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we have International Tabletop Day once a month, at our local cool stuff. So it's just a day where everybody can say, "Hey, it's International Tabletop Day." If Geek and Sundry were Hallmark, there'd be cards for it too. You know what I'm saying? So whatever, it works. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe a little bit more research to see when cons were falling to not coincide, but who cares? I don't. But yeah, just to answer your question, I don't know. Any goss on upcoming Miami Dices? Oh, any guess maybe? No, we usually just kind of schedule those as we see them and as we play the games. And if there's a bigger game that's coming out that we've all played, then we'll hit it up with the Miami Dice episode. But we usually don't plan those ahead. Usually, sometimes we have, but we usually don't. So we'll see. Cole Switzer says, I love Rising Sun and Blood Rage. Would Tsukiyumi be a good buy? Again, I can't tell you how much money you should or should not spend for it to be a good buy, but if you like both of those games, and I like both of those games, I also like Tsukiyumi, Full Moon Down, so there you have it. Now, if you're asking me if you need a third big miniatures game, I cannot answer that for you. But Tsukiyumi is a good game. It's a great game. It's one of my favorites, and that was when it just had cardboard standees, so now it's going to have miniatures. Bonus. So I really enjoy the game. I do like it a lot. So there you have it. Good morning from Belgium. Oh, it jumped on me. There we go. Good morning from Belgium. Giovanni Henry or Henry. There you go. Thank you. Good morning, Sam. Thanks for your contributions. What is your favorite faction in Shadespire Night Vault? Thank you. Daniel, I think right now my favorite faction is still the Orcs. I like their style of play. I don't necessarily like the style where you're going to be sitting on objectives and just waiting for them to score and that type of thing. So I like the Orcs. The Orcs, as far as I remember, and I don't know if they've had any upgrades or anything like that since, but they don't have any objectives in their objective deck where you just stand on something and score a point for it. They're always go out and fight, and I like that style in Shadespire. So they're my favorite faction. Let's see here. I've got 5 hours to kill in Fort Lauderdale today. What should I do? Well, there are a couple of game stores that are up there. I can't remember the one. There is also cool stuff that's up in Hollywood, which is very close to Fort Lauderdale. So you could go check that out for a couple hours. So yeah, you could do that. You could, I don't know what you like to do, but there's another store up there. I can't remember the name of it though, because I've never been there, and that's why I can't remember the name of it. I've heard people talk about it, but that's it. Let's see. Do you like Axis and Allies other than zombies? And can you cut down on downtime using hit dice just to get a handful of 4 different colors of D6 and color 1 colors red and then 2s and no? I guess I just don't understand your question. I'll answer your first question. Do you like Axis and Allies other than zombies? Yes, although it's not a game that I always want to play. But yeah, I do like it. But I think zombies made it more fun. Good morning, board game fangirl. Champions of Midgard versus Raiders of the North Sea. Champions of Midgard. I just like it better. Not to say that I don't like Raiders of the North Sea, I do, but I just like Champions better. Do you think Blood Rage could use or needs another expansion? No, I don't. I think it's great where it is. I think it flows great where it is right now. Now, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't be excited if they did come out with something new, but at the same time, I don't think it needs anything else. I think it's a great game. Done. And I think Eric Lang feels the same way, but Eric will, he might get a new idea and pop it in there. Who knows? Quick question. Top 10, let's see, sorry. Top 10 language independent games with Tom and Z. Once I added it as a comment and it got quite a few votes. Language independent games. All right, cool. I'll bring that up and we'll see what we can do. What are your thoughts on Tainted Grail, your cup of tea? I don't have any thoughts on Tainted Grail. I haven't really heard much about it, which is to say I haven't done the research for it. I did check it out, just go by and look at it a little bit at Essen, but I didn't watch a demo, or I didn't even sit down to have a demo or anything like that. I think Tom actually got more of a look at that than I did. So you can ask him next time you get a chance. Let's see. Does having painted minis that you painted for a game give you a reason to hold on to a game longer than it might otherwise? Sure. I mean, you've put your blood, sweat, and tears into it at that point, not just your cash. So, but I mean, even still, cash is a byproduct of your blood, sweat, and tears at work. So you could say that you've thrown money at it, you've thrown your blood, sweat, and tears in it, but you've gone the extra mile at that point, and you've taken more time with it. It's a little bit more endearing to you at that point. So, yeah, I think so. I think possibly, but I think rightfully so, especially if you're proud of the work that you did, the paint job that you put onto them and everything. So, yeah, I think so. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Your question had a little bit of a negative slant to it, in that you should hold on to it longer than you otherwise would. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because you've put extra work into it. It's almost like, well, not really almost. It's a distant analogy, but it's almost like putting a lot of work into an older car. Fixing it up and putting a new paint coat on it and souping up the engine a little bit, and new tires, new rims. It's akin to that. Is the car outdated? Well, yeah. There's other cars that have better bells and whistles and that kind of stuff, but this is the car that you've put more work into. It's kind of the same thing. Let's see here. Are you going to UK Game Expo or Come On Expo, or neither? Roy and I are going to be going to Come On Con, and Tom and Z are going to be going to UKGE. So unfortunately, I'm going to miss UKGE again. That was one of my favorite. was one of my favorite conventions of the year. So and I just really enjoy the British people. So yeah, I'm going to miss going there, but it is what it is. I'm going to be at Come On Con with Roy. What fixings do you like on your burgers? Huh? Well, I'm a little bit strange that way. I like to have peanut butter on a cheeseburger, and don't knock it until you try it. I was the same way. I was like, why would anybody put peanut butter on a hamburger? And then I tried it, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Where have you been all my life? That type of thing. So, what's my favorite movie? My favorite movie. There's so many different movies that probably could fall into that category at any given point in time. Depending on the mood that I'm in, I guess you could say. Like if I'm in a laughing, goofy mood, then I'll think back to a comedy movie that's really funny that I really enjoyed. Something like, Ms. Doubtfire would be one of my favorite comedy movies. Robin Williams was just a master, and the job that he did on Mrs. Doubtfire was amazing. But I mean, that's just the one that came to mind. Other, sci-fi is Star Wars original trilogy, and as far as that's concerned, probably I'm going to say probably Return of the Jedi is my favorite. But Episode 4, A New Hope, is really, really, really close second. And I actually liked Empire Strikes Back the least, just because I'm very action oriented as far as the kind of movies that I like to watch, and that one had the least amount of action. There was a lot of time spent on Dagobah with Luke and Yoda. So iconic, yeah, I get it, and it's the most well liked episode out of all of them, I think. But it's probably my least favorite, just because I like more action. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on the Golden Geek Award winners? Well, it is what it is, right? People just have different tastes than I do. I'll leave it at that. Texas Tech or Virginia? I'm guessing that's a Final Four basketball tournament question, and I don't care. I'm sorry. Out of all the tournaments and of all the sports, basketball is my least favorite. and the one that I probably care the least about. And when I say that, it is distant. I mean, distant. I just don't. I don't enjoy the game. Hardly at all. I mean, I'll play it, with the youth, and because that's what they enjoy doing, and I'll goof around with it, but I've never been good at it, and I've never enjoyed it at all. I enjoyed, I got to grow up with watching Michael Jordan, and when I say grow up, I don't mean I'm not that old, or that young, but I liked watching him, and I liked watching that era, but that was about it. Let's see. Any tips for games for a brand new gaming club? Wow. Gee whiz. It really depends on the people who are in your gaming club. Yeah, that's what it really boils down to, because I could spout off, 10, 20 different games that I think you should have in your gaming collection, but the odds are that your gaming group probably won't like half of them, collectively. So, yeah, I really can't answer that question for you. I apologize. Ken Parker, hello. Thank you. Good to see you, too. What are your top 3 publishers? Ooh, top 3 publishers. I'm going to go with... And again, when I say this, I'm just talking about the games they produced and whether or not I like them or not. I'm not talking about business practices or their reputation in the industry or anything like that. I'm simply going on the games that they've made and whether or not I like them. Okay? Cool. So, I would say probably, a few years ago, I probably would have told you Fantasy Flight. But there's only a couple of games now that I like from them that I'm wanting to play. So they're probably not in the top 3. They're definitely in the top 10, maybe even top 5. But top 3 probably would be Come On Limited or Simon Limited. They've expressed that they want to change how you pronounce their name now, so it's Come On. So they would be in the top 3. I would say probably over the years, Days of Wonder would be in the top 3. And for number 3, it's probably going to be a new up-and-comer, something maybe a Mythic or a Monolith, or some collaboration of those two. The games that they've put out, I've liked most, if not all of them, the ones that I've played at least. So yeah, those are probably my top 3, or at least 3 that would definitely be in the top 5. Fantasy Flight's going to be somewhere in there too, because they're a good publisher, and I like a lot of the games that they have. So yeah, there's that. I also do like a lot of stuff from Renegade. So that's not usually my cup of tea, the kind of games that they make, but I have liked a lot of them. And then Emperor S4 is up there as well. Again, I don't know about top 3, but definitely top 5. Emperor S4 has put out a lot of games that I've liked. So that's another one as well. So yeah. Let's see. Do I like Kemet? And it shot down for me. Here we go. Do you like Kemet, and how much in a range up to 10? Do I like Kemet? Yes. I like Kemet more with the set expansion that just came out, where it changes the game into an all versus one. I like that format better for Kemet, but I did enjoy Kemet a lot. In a range of 10, I don't know what I would rate Kemet. Probably around a 7 or maybe an 8. So altogether. What game do you feel has the best art? That's way too subjective of a question, because Vincent Dutrait is probably one of my favorite artists for board games. So you could almost pick any one of the games that has his art on it, and it would probably be pretty close, if not dead on. Jonathan Lane, good morning, Sam. Do you find that all co-ops can feel samey? Anytime my group plays a co-op towards the end, we always house rule it or cheat if we're losing. Do you prefer non-co-ops? Oh no, I like confrontational or not confrontational, but competitive games just as much as anybody else. Maybe even more than some, depending on who you're talking to. But do I prefer non-co-ops? Not really. I enjoy cooperative games because sometimes you just need a non-competitive or a non-confrontational game just to have fun. I would rather, deal with sometimes I would rather deal with, having to tell an alpha player to settle down and let people take their turns than stabbing somebody in the back that you've been telling them, I got your back the entire game, and then it just becomes advantageous for you to stab them in the back. And then there's that tension between the two of you. I'd rather not have that sometimes and just have the cooperative sense that we're all playing against the game. Do they feel samey? I guess so, but I think that probably more often is the fault of maybe the designer and not necessarily the game. When they do feel that way, because if you have a co-op game that has a very immersive theme to it, it's not going to feel samey. It's going to feel like you guys are struggling against whatever that antagonist is in the game's theme. So I don't think so, but if it does, I don't think it's the game's fault, it's the designer's fault. Or rather, I don't think it's the genre's fault. That's more accurate than I think it's more the designer's fault than the genre's fault. How do you go about reviewing games when you play a game that you're looking at? When you play a game, what are you looking at as far as reviewing goes? Do you treat games you're reviewing different than you do games you play for fun? Yes. When I'm playing games that I'm reviewing, I usually try to, at the end of every game, ask people what they thought about it, and then I make mental notes of that, because I like to share in my reviews what I found other people felt about the game, because I think it gives more universality to the review than just my opinion. Of course, my opinion is the biggest part of the review, of course, during the final thoughts section. But I think it's important to note that if I didn't like something, and most of the people that I played with also didn't like it, I'm going to mention that. But if I don't like something and other people liked it, I also want to mention that, because there's always two sides to every coin. So you have to. I think it's good to mention those kinds of things. So yeah, I do treat them differently, just because it's not just do I like it. I want to know how other people feel about the game as well. So after every time I play a game that I'm going to review, I try to ask those kinds of questions. Let's see. What is your favorite restaurant in Indianapolis? Chad, I think you're hungry, buddy. You keep asking questions about food, bruh. So go get some breakfast, or an early lunch, or dinner, whatever time it is where you are. What's my favorite restaurant in Indianapolis? There's a Japanese sushi place that is on the corner. I don't know the name of the road, but it's on the corner. If you walk down that mallway, where all the food trucks are, to the very next street, it's right there. As you're walking away from the convention center, it's right there on your on the left-hand side of the street on a corner. And I really like that place. The prices aren't that bad. They're kind of pricey, but not as pricey as some of the other restaurants on that same road. So, and I really enjoy Far East food. I do a lot. I can't remember the name of the restaurant though. I can take you there, but I don't know what the name of it is. Is there a game that you really like but don't feel always willing to play it because it's stressful? For me, an example is The Year of the Dragon. Not really. Usually, if a game causes me too much stress, I don't want to play it, period, whether I like it or not. because that's not why I like to play games. I don't like to play games to be necessarily challenged in a mental way. I like to play games to interact with people around the table, and that can be mentally challenging sometimes, but that's why I like to play games. I don't necessarily like to play games so I can figure out a puzzle or so that I can figure out this rigorous, mental Olympics to figure this thing out. I don't like doing that. So if it causes me stress, I'm probably not going to play it. I don't care what game it is. And it probably won't be a game that I enjoy anyway because it's making me stressed. Could Blood Rage be reskinned to have a different theme? Chad, like I said, buddy, go get some breakfast. I guess technically, yeah, I could. I mean, most games can be reskinned to be whatever they want to be. So for me to say that, no, Blood Rage must be Vikings, that's a little bit, over the top. So yeah, of course it could, but any game can, really. So yeah. Have you played any games recently that you think could crack your top 100? Nothing that really comes to mind, but I could be forgetting something. Would love to hear the Dice Tower's thoughts on the top 10 best rulebook games. Oh, games that have the best rulebooks? That's really hard to remember. You'd almost have to start making notes and ranking rulebooks to come up with that. And I don't know if that's that. I know you're a minis fan, Nathan says, but have you ever played a game that has minis and thought it would be better without them? Perhaps with pawn standees as an alternative. Well, if there's standees, if you have standees, then why, except for the obvious, it costs less to produce, why, or rather more to produce it, why would you not have minis and it be good? But if you're, there's some games that just don't warrant, I guess, miniatures. But any game that does have miniatures, I'm usually not going to say, wow, this would have been just fine with a meeple. It could, but miniatures are, in my opinion, they're an upgrade. Now, can miniatures sometimes get in the way and be too big or too cumbersome or something? Yeah, maybe. But I can't think of any game that I've played with miniatures and said, I'd be good with just, pawns, or I'd be good with just cardboard standees. No. Something like Tsukiyumi. I enjoyed the game with cardboard standees, but when the miniature version comes out, am I going to say, I like the standees better? Probably not. But I liked the game when it only had standees. So I don't know if that answers your question. What's your favorite game? What is your favorite war game? What is the next war game you are going to review? Wow. I don't know. My favorite war game is Memoir 44 because it is a war game. Now, if you're talking about the traditional chits war games that are played on paper mats and all that kind of stuff, I haven't reviewed one of those in forever. And I don't know when the next one's going to be because those manuals, those rule books are really, really hard for me to get through. Other people might read them and it's lickety-split. It's very cool. And I do understand that once you've played a lot of different traditional war games, a lot of the rules are pretty much the same with a few nuances thrown in there. So I get the more you play traditional war games, the easier it is to get through the rule books because a lot of the rules stay the same. They just use different nuances from the different systems. I get that, but I'm not there. So getting into the traditional war game thing it has a really high curve for me because those rule books are so boring to read. And there are very few illustrations that help me understand what the rules are saying. So I don't know, and I can't tell you when. Josh Box says, loved your back talk with Z on Friday. Thank you very much. Just wondering if you've ever had a game that you wore out and needed to buy a new copy. At what point did you decide you needed a new one? Well, we pretty much wore out our copy of Citadels way back in the day, and we had to replace that. As a matter of fact, we actually bought a Korean version of the game that was made by Korea Board Games that had Korean text on it because it was the only one we could get our hands on. So that's one but that was a long time ago. I have not done that recently. How many hours a week do you spend reading rule books on average? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Probably not as much as it used to because we've kind of changed our format for the channel, doing a lot of live stuff. But yeah, it's a few. A few. Sorry about the typos. I was trying to say you can cut down on downtime with homemade hit dice, having different colors for different hits. Oh, okay, Austin. That was from a question a while ago. Yeah, I guess so. You could, but I don't. If you're playing Axis and Allies, while cutting down on downtime is a good thing, you're probably not worried about downtime if you enjoy Axis and Allies. You're playing that for the experience and for the historical reenactment, so to speak. So let's see here. How do you pick who goes to which convention? Tom does ultimately, but he usually asks, who wants to go to what convention and that type of thing. So yeah. Eric Anthony just wanted to say he loves the Dice Tower family and keep up the good work. Thank you, Eric. We appreciate that. Are you looking forward to playing Star Wars Outer Rim? I am. But again, I don't know how close to Firefly it's going to feel. Firefly, the board game, I really enjoyed it and still have it in my collection, but I don't play it as often because it is a longer game, and it just hasn't hit the table as much as it should. If Outer Rim is going to be like Firefly, just with the reskin, I don't know how much I'll play it. But yeah, I do want to give it a try because it's Star Wars, man. What IP would you like to see made as a board game, and what type of game would it be? Whoo! Wow. I don't know. Awkward silence there for a little bit. I don't know. I don't really put a lot of thought into that. There's so many games that are coming out right now it'd be really. It's really kind of. I don't really put that kind of thought into board games. I usually try to focus on what I've got in front of me, not what I would like to see. But unless we're doing a top 10 or something like that, where I'm kind of forced to think about it. But yeah. Let's see, where to go. Somebody said they were going to Korea. Where is it? Okay, Caleb Gross. Going to Korea, food recommendations. Bibimbap is an absolute must. Dosol bibimbap, which comes in a heated stone bowl, and the bowl continues to cook the rice, and it's like crispy at the bottom. Amazing. Do not pass on the red paste either, the red pepper paste, because that really just brings everything alive. It is spicy though, so be careful. Stay away from naengmyeon. Naengmyeon is basically just cold noodles. That's what naengmyeon means. Naeng is cold, myeon is noodles. So stay away from that unless you like cold noodles. Oh, that's gross. Let's see. Anything with kimchi in it. The further south you go, the more fishy it's going to taste, especially if you're in. But if you're in Seoul or something like that, you shouldn't have that. So just realize that there's different recipes and kind of colloquial, not colloquial. That's has to do with language. different ways that they prepare it in different regions of the country. But if you're going up north to Seoul, you should enjoy the kimchi. There's different kinds of kimchi too. Cabbage kimchi is the best in my opinion, but there's a lot of different stuff that's there. Be careful, because usually you have to go to a certain kind of restaurant to get this, but they do eat dog there. So unless that's something you want to try, be careful. So yeah, but the bibimbap is probably one of my favorites, and galbitang is good too. It's beef soup. Oh man, it's so good. There's so much that's good. Tteokbokki is good as well. Tteokbokki is very good. Oh my goodness, I miss it. I used to walk across the street at the school I used to work in, and they had a little roadside vendor that used to make it, and it was so good. Put it in a little, oh, it's so good. Anyway, yeah, that's a couple of things. Try those things. Let's see here. Did you guys ever get a review copy of Lord of the Rings in yet? Not that I know of. I don't have a favorite Zombicide Black Plague scenario. I've not played all of them, so I couldn't tell you which one's my favorite. Just joined in, but want to see if I can throw a question. I heard a rumor that some of the Dice Tower gang are going to be at a convention in Iceland. I'm not going to be on that one, I don't think. That's Tom and Z is going to be there, I believe. Are any game releases you're looking forward to this year? Not that come straight to my head, no. Is there a sport you would like to see as a board game that isn't already represented? No, I don't really like sports simulations, because usually they do a lackluster job at simulating the sport. For example, racing games just play slow. And that just seems antithetical to have a racing game that's very slow in how it progresses. It's really hard to replicate a lot of the things that make the sports game so exciting in a board game format. So they're usually very lackluster to me. So I don't have any sport that I would like to see a board game for. Are the Dice Tower crew visiting Toronto this year? I don't know, Daniel. Do the Dice Tower guys have Roy 3D print your components for a game? No. But Roy is rather prolific on the 3D printer. He enjoys doing that. Did the Dice Tower receive the Snack Talk package? Not that I know of, Tufano, Alex. But we did hear that it is on the way. Does anyone know if there was a reason for the command name pronunciation change? No. They just brought it up to us that they want to start heading in that direction. I don't know why. Z's favorite designer is Bruno Cathala. Who is yours? This is one of the things that I'm a little bit different. I don't have a favorite designer, so to speak. Now, my favorite game is designed by Eric Lang. So if you would like to go that route, sure. But I don't necessarily have a favorite designer. That's one of the secondary things that I look at about games. But and I really haven't looked at my collection to see which designer I have the most of. But I have a whole lot of copies of Ticket to Ride. I have a whole lot of copies of Carcassonne. Or Carcassonne, sorry. Or Carcassonne. I don't know how you pronounce it. But apparently we pronounced it wrong during our Dice Tower dive, and I apologize. But I don't know. I just don't put that. I don't think that way about board games. I focus more on do I enjoy the game rather than who designed it. Now I know that if you find a game that you enjoy and you notice the designer, and then you notice that designer has made a lot of the games that you enjoy, well then yeah, that's going to be. But I don't do that. So to answer your question, I don't necessarily have a favorite designer. I just got my Kickstarter for Red Alert Space Fleet Battles. Did you kickstart it? No, I didn't. Any further reviews coming? If we get it in, we'll take a look at it. I understand miniatures are aesthetically better for a board game, but doesn't blocks with pictures sometimes just make it easier to manipulate and set the game up? Sure, but that doesn't mean that you're sacrificing aesthetics for functionality, and that's not necessarily what you should be shooting for. There's nothing, I mean, because the miniatures aren't necessarily less functional than a block. They're quite literally the same thing in different shapes and forms. So why not have functionality and aesthetics? That's where I am with miniatures. If a game, and I've said this before, if a game looks better, it's more fun to play, in my opinion. So saying that you'd rather have a bunch of blocks and that be better than having a bunch of miniatures, I don't understand. That doesn't compute with me, because why? Other than they simply take more to produce, it's more expensive to produce them, why would you not have miniatures if you're going to have blocks? Now, I have heard some people, like with the Command and Color series, the Ancients, where they like the blocks better because it gives that thematic feel to it's an ancient war game. So it looks, and I mean this in a nice way, it looks like you're playing an ancient board game. So I get that, and fine. But to sacrifice aesthetics for functionality seems like a needless sacrifice, unless it's just too expensive. I understand that. But in my opinion, you're asking if it's better or not. I don't think one is better than the other. If you can have both, you should have both. Kaz! Hello, sir. The Dice Odyssey. I believe, yes, we do have our Avengers Endgame tickets already. Turn in your Captain America fan card if not. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure we've already bought them. It's going to be a work field trip, from what I understand. Let's see here. I think the company made a statement on the pronunciation. Sure, go check that out. What happened to Testing Tuesday? Well, Testing Tuesday last week and this week was forwent. Is that right? Because we had a live play of a game that was scheduled for that day, and this week is going to be the same thing. We've got a live play scheduled, and then on top of that, we have to get ready for our trip next week to the gathering. So there you go. Let's see here. Mythic Games' next game is a zombicide-like World War II game called Reichbusters. Any thoughts on it? No, I've seen it at Essen. I did not get to play test it or demo it or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I have seen that, and it looks very neat. So yeah. Outside of board games, what are some of your favorite hobbies? It sounds very boring. It probably is, but I do like to watch different series on Netflix. I'm going through Hannah right now for it's a Prime original, and that's an interesting show. I can't say that I endorse it completely, but it's been interesting to watch. Had to fast forward through a couple of spots, but just because of my personal things. But yeah, it's been interesting. I bought my TI4 a few days ago. I was wondering if it would be good for a 3-player experience. My group is a bit limited, so there are mostly only 3 that have the same time. What do you think? That would be a last resort. I have played it with 3-player, and it's not that bad, but the board gets a little wonky when you play with 3 players. If you can at all get that 4th player in there, I think it will enhance your play time a lot. So try that. Try to get a 4th person. If you can't, 3 is okay, but it's a last resort. Mikado Sushi, yes, that is correct, James. Thank you. That's my favorite restaurant in Indy. Let's see. I think just to avoid confusion with Z-Man, maybe set the record straight. I'm sure many people have their own way to pronounce it. Okay. Have you suggested getting Z to play TI4 by having a 2-day game? Maybe 3-hour sessions. It would give him a break in between. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it should, but I don't think it's going to happen. Your Stanley Cup winner prediction: Hawks, and I know it's probably not going to happen because they're not doing very good this year, but Blackhawks have to do that. Are there any games that are dated, have become more fun? That have become more fun as they get more dated? I recently found Mall Madness at a thrift store, and the 80s, 90s themed products made us crack up. I don't know. I don't. We just don't get to play a lot of old games around here, so I couldn't really give much thought to that. Oathbreaker didn't seem like there was much deduction. 40 minutes in, and the king still didn't really know who anyone was. Looked like it really didn't matter until the end of the game. Thoughts? I disagree. Roy in both of the games pretty much knew who everybody was. About 2/3, about 2/3 of the way through the game. Maybe 3/4 of the way to the game. I don't know, but a little bit after half, he pretty much knew where everybody was, and he was the king on one of the games that we played. I think it's a great one. And I'm not just saying that because we were paid to play it live, and frankly, I'm kind of offended by people who have suggested that. I really enjoyed the game a lot, and it's probably going to replace a number of some of the, well, not a number. I don't have a whole lot of social deduction games. There's some, like I'm going to keep Patriots Redcoats based on theme alone, and I enjoy how that plays. But this one was fun. It was enjoyable, and it was just the right level of stress. And I liked some of the new mechanisms that were employed, having special abilities that you could fire off. I liked the dichotomy of having to be on the right side of some of the different cards that were out there, mission cards or whatever, in order to get cubes that you could use to fire off your special ability, and balancing that with making sure that your side is staying ahead in the game overall. There was a lot of balancing that's there, and I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. And for people to insinuate that we were faking it just because we were being it was a paid playthrough, that's not cool. Have I tried microbrew? No, I have not. So I can't give you thoughts. What kind of guitar do you play? I've got an Ibanez, RG something or other, and I've got a small little Marshall amp, and I've been playing it a lot more recently. I'm actually teaching myself how to play I Am by Theocracy, which is a really hard song to play to get all of the things right, and I'm just not as good as I used to be, so there's a couple of things there. Favorite YouTuber guitar person to watch or learn from? I'm learning guitar between games. Tommy, I don't do that a lot, except for specific songs. Like I just said, I'm trying to teach myself how to play I Am by Theocracy right now, and so I'll watch videos of the songs, and if there's any instructional videos, and I don't really care who the YouTuber is. I'm just trying to see how other people play it so I can piece it together. So I'm sorry, I don't have a specific person. Do you think Star Wars Rebellion would be better if they replaced the standees with minis? No, I don't think so. you could probably do that anyway if you have like Imperial Assault, or maybe the Star Wars miniatures game that came out. If you have some of those laying around from years ago, you could do that by yourself. I don't think that, see, something like that, I don't think that it's a miniatures game, because you've got all of the miniatures that are around, all the different ships and that type of thing. But I think the standees are a good diverse part of the components, if I can use that word, because I like how it breaks it up. It kind of denotes the presence, and that's all it needs to do. So I guess maybe in this is maybe one of those games that I'm okay with the standees, and if it gets an upgrade, great, and you have miniatures out there, fine. But I think because of the size of the board and the nature that the standees carry with them of showing a presence but not having a lot of presence or footprint on the board, I think this is one of those cases where miniatures for the people, it's not necessary. Now, if it happens and they're small enough, or rather, I don't want to say small, if they're the right size to where they don't take up too much board area, then that would be a great addition, I think. I would think it would be really, really cool. But it would probably be expensive as well. Leonid, hello from Moscow. Hello, sir. What about War of the Rings? I choose between Star Wars Rebellion and War of the Ring. Oh. Well, see, here's the thing. War of the Ring has a caveat with it that I don't like, and it's really just me. People think I'm crazy for feeling this way, but it's a very thematic choice. But it's one of those things in the game that I just don't like. I don't like that the good guys have to sit around and get beat upon simply because we haven't been able to declare war yet. And it happens every game where you just get pummeled by the orcs and the Uruk-hai. Before you can, and then it's kind of a struggle to get back. And I know that's thematic. I know, but it's not fun. If an orc comes and slaps me in the face, what am I going to do? You just wait, sir, until we can redeclare war on you, and I'll get you back. No, that's not what you do. You kill the orc. So yeah, I just didn't really like that. But to answer your question, I don't know you from Adam, honestly, and to give you a decision between those two games, I can't really do that. So I'm sorry. Let's see. Are you ever invited to input during game development by any publishers? I guess so, but it's more, it's kind of like when I'm reviewing a game and I ask people that was playing it, what did you think? That's the level to which I've been asked in the past. I haven't really been, asked to help develop games or anything like that. It's just, hey, what did you think about this, and what are your thoughts here, and that type of stuff. Daryl, Dan says, how do you typically prime your minis? I usually just buy like a flat black primer from Walmart somewhere because it's cheaper that way, and I do it that way. But I do have an airbrush, and I have primed minis with the airbrush before, but there's a lot of extra work that goes involved to cleaning the airbrush, making sure it's not clogged, and that you get all the paint out of it before you put it away, that type of stuff, and it takes more time to do that. So most of the time I just use a flat black primer or a flat white primer, depending on, sometimes a gray. It just depends on what you like. I usually use black though, flat black. As a teacher, I don't get to see your show often. Glad to be here today as my son has a PD day, and I get to take that day off. I don't know what PD is. But hey, cool. Glad you get to spend the day with your son there. That's great. I grew up in a mining town. Do you have any suggestions for a mining themed game? There haven't been too many of those out there, have there? We did one called Treasure Mountain, I think. It's somewhere over here. Tom, I think, has already done the review of it. That has a mining theme to it. Caverna has a little bit of a mining idea to it, but not really. But you can check those two out, I guess. Thanks for the review of In Between. you're very welcome. Just played it this weekend, and it was a lot of fun. Great. I'm glad you enjoyed that. It's a very fun game. I watched your reviews, and we have very similar tastes. All right, cool. Janovsky, something Dikipri? Janovsky. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Had a close friend cause a tantrum last night playing the Iron Throne. What do you do in those situations with the game group? Wow. Those are difficult times, right? Hopefully he's a good friend and you already have a deep relationship with him. This is kind of a pockmark, but those are a lot more difficult situations to draw into when it's somebody you don't know. Hopefully it was a friend that I think he says a friend, a close friend. Good. Do you have the relationship that backs that up? So you can revisit that person. Maybe at the time. You can smooth it over, maybe suggest, okay, look, we're not having fun playing this game anymore. Let's put it away and let's get something else out where we can just all have fun. Maybe mull it over that way, settle, and then later on, you have the relationship there, talk to the person, figure out what was wrong. Often there's something else going on. It's not the game. The game was the flash in the pan that sparked the reaction, and so the game isn't the thing. It's something else that's going on, and the game just kind of pushed that to the surface. So usually, especially if it's a close friend, you can get to the nitty gritty of what's going on, and you'll find that has a better solution than just saying, "Dude, chill out. What's wrong with you?" But man, people, we don't always see what people are going through, right? So erring on the side of caution is always the best route when you're dealing with people and their emotions. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Give them the benefit of the doubt, because now if it's like serial behavior, if it continues to happen and continues to happen and continues to happen, now you have something to be more concerned about. But if it's like a one-off, give them the benefit of the doubt and do your best to kind of smooth over the situation and try to just move through it, but then come back to it later on after everybody's kind of cooled down a little bit and see what's going on and find out what's the root. Often when we deal with people's emotions even at a table, it's the stuff above ground. It's the tip of the iceberg that we're dealing with, and that's like trying to put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound that's gushing blood everywhere. So be careful with that. If I can just encourage you to do that, I think you'll find that more often than not it's something else that's going on. It's not the game. Somebody else need to make a Tremors film-based board game. Yeah, that would be cool. Last Starfighter. Yeah, we were just talking about that the other day. Going back to the whole what IP. Last Starfighter would be a great idea. Oh, yeah. Doso Bibimbap. Yes. Puppy Pop Pie? Oh, yes, that is very wrong. Why would you even say such a thing? My wife and I are coming to Dice Tower Con this summer. Cool. We are excited. Yes, you should be. Any tips or suggestions for us since this will be our first board game conference ever? Wow. Well, the good thing about Dice Tower Con is that it is very, I guess you could say, playing board games centric. So you're going to be able to play a lot of board games. Use the teacher wanted and player wanted signs. That's why they're there. They promote community. They promote getting people together to play games. So use those things. Spend time in the exhibitor hall. if you're able to, I don't like to tell people to spend money because I don't know your finances, but if you're able to, throw those producers, those publishers some cash to make it worthwhile for them to come back. That kind of stuff. Spend time. There's going to be Vernon I believe is going to be running some painting classes. Join stuff like that. There's other kinds of events that you can join. And I know this maybe sounds anathema, but if you can, go spend some time one of the days at one of the parks and enjoy Orlando. There's just so many good things that you can do at Dice Tower Con. It's the experience as a whole. It's not just the convention. The convention is great. It's fun, and it has a great vibe to it. But at the same time, don't try to bite off more than you can chew. Take a few moments, over the course of a few weeks and plan what you want to do. Take a look at the website and all of the different events that are going to be scheduled and see what you want to do. Pick those out ahead of time and try to sign up for them. If you miss them, don't stress. Don't worry about it. Just do something else. There's a lot of stuff to do there. So I hope you enjoy it and I hope you have a good time. What am I going to do on Easter? Well, I'm going to be, I'm a youth pastor at the church, so we're going to be doing a lot of stuff at the church. But after that's done, probably nothing. I'm just going to rest. What is your favorite haberdashery? I don't have a favorite haberdashery. I'm sorry. You can still find dog in Korea, but you have to be looking for it actively. Yes, that is true. They are only sold in certain restaurants, not every restaurant. And usually the restaurants that they sell it at are off the beaten path. And yeah, I never had it and never will. Well, I never had it to my knowledge. If somebody snuck it in on me, shame on them, because they knew they were doing something that I didn't want to do, and that's not cool. But to my knowledge and to my conscience, I've never eaten dog. Do you have any suggestions to make your kids approaching and enjoying board games? I would be afraid to push too much. Well, that is the problem. Don't push too much. If you, my two older sons, they really enjoy board games. One of them more than the other. My two younger, my daughter doesn't enjoy them as much. She likes some card games, but that's about it. My youngest son, Aiden, he really enjoys playing different kinds of board games, and he enjoys them a lot. But again, I don't want to push him too much. I want him to only play what he wants to play, not what I want him to play. So, yeah, you have to not push. If they like it and they take to it naturally, great, fine and dandy. But if don't make them do something that they don't want to do. Try to find something that they enjoy, and you go and do what they enjoy, and encourage that. Don't try to hog tie them into your hobby. Jim Cletus, I am new to the hobby. Have always enjoyed playing games. Do you have to buy expansions to games in order, or can you jump right to later expansion? It depends on the game that you're talking about, and it depends on the kind of expansion that it is. There are games that it doesn't matter what order you buy them in, because they just add a singular thing to whatever game it is. So it just depends on the game. What's favorite Bible verse? Mark 10:45, I think is what it is. Let me look it up real quick. I'm horrible with references, but let's see. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure. I'm looking it up. I'm sorry it's taking so long. Yes, that is correct. Mark 10:45. What game has made you laugh the loudest? I laugh loud anyway. And sometimes it's not even the game that makes me laugh loud. So I don't know. Let's see here. Let's see. Looking forward to my first Ice Tower Con this year. Do you know where? Do you know if there will be any live shows during the con? Yes, there will be. Did you ever watch any of the Stargate shows? Yeah, not really, not in their entirety. I watched a few episodes, but Stargate really didn't draw me in. Richard, I will not make it to Expo this year at UK. I'm sorry. I'm going to miss it as well. Have I seen Unplanned? No, I haven't, but I'm very intrigued by it. And I'm not too happy with how it's been kind of universally panned and treated poorly. Let's see. I'm going to skip down a little bit. So, Hannah was a movie? I didn't know that. It says memorable but disturbing. Haven't seen the Netflix reimplementation. It's not Netflix. It's Amazon Prime. Supposedly it's slightly different. Okay. Yes, I know the Blackhawks didn't make the playoffs. I know that. But I'm a Blackhawks fan, so. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, Quenneville is following Sam to South Florida. Yeah, I know. It's going to be weird having Coach Q gone, but that's weird. Peanut butter. Let's see here. I'm skipping down because we're almost to the point of. I think I'm at the end. Yeah, I am at the end. All right, cool. Disney parks are all-day affairs. If you have small kids, you could run into the next 24 hours. That's true. But if you go early, I don't do this, but I know Thomas said that if you go early, you can get a lot of rides in a lot quicker. And it might feel like you're kind of shotgunning the trip at that point, but going earlier to some of these parks works out to your benefit in many instances. Tropical Penguin, I do not follow MLS. I rarely even follow Premier League very much anymore. I just don't have the time, and I don't have the channels to do that either on my TV. But and my time on the internet is spent doing other things as well. So you still play a lot of Memoir 44. What is your favorite scenario? Again, I don't have a favorite scenario. I haven't played them all, so I couldn't tell you. I do like scenarios that have more tanks, though, because I like playing. I like playing Memoir 44 with a lot of tanks on the table. So yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and start to shut this down. We always end with a lightning round where you give me two choices and I have to choose one of them, or I could just be a stinker and say none of them or both of them. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to end here with maybe about 5 minutes or so of a lightning round, maybe a little bit more than that. So we'll start. Say Media says, what are your thoughts on drug use? Don't use them. Because they mess your brain up. Don't do it. Just don't. So yeah, there you go. All right, lightning round. We're going to just wait for those to come in. Burnt ends or Korean barbecue? If we're talking about in Korea, probably Korean barbecue. But here in the good old US of A, burnt ends. Because those are just really good. French fries or onion rings, depends on the place. But I would say probably more often than not onion rings. Answering questions or being a stinker? Well, we'll just have to find out, won't we? I guess I was kind of a stinker there, wasn't I? Giant mech or giant monsters? I like giant mechs better. Monsters can get kind of nightmare juicy. So let's stay away from that. Overdrive or fuzz guitar pedal? Probably overdrive. I don't like fuzz. It just sounds muted. Gaming as a hobby or a job? How about both? Rising Sun or Memoir 44? Memoir 44. Don't even have to think about that one. Creamy or crunchy peanut butter? Crunchy. Crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. Now, on a burger, creamy. But like PBs and J's, yeah, crunchy, definitely. Lightning or thunder? Well, they kind of come together, don't they? Nirvana or Pearl Jam? Gonna be a stinker. Say neither. I don't like grunge at all. Candy corn or fruitcake? Ugh, neither. Nastiness. Vomit or diarrhea? Neither, again, but if I have to have one, I'd rather have diarrhea. Because I hate regurgitation. I just hate it. It's the worst. I don't know if it's the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely one of the worst. Farscape or Babylon 5? Bleh. Both are deplorable in my opinion. Knights or samurai? Well, aren't they kind of the same thing? Just from two different cultures. Games with bad themes or games with no themes? Games with bad themes, because I don't like games with no theme. Tanks or planks? Tanks. Go to UKGE or don't go to UKGE? I'd much rather go to UKGE. Plane or boat? I don't know. A boat, you probably have a little bit more room than you do on a plane. So, and I like to have space, so maybe a boat. But the plane is a lot faster, isn't it? So there's different reasons for that. Marvel or DC? You just don't know me, do you? Marvel by far. But Shazam was awesome. Exercise or extra fries? Look at me. Hot drinks or cold drinks? Depends on what you're drinking. I don't want a hot Coke, but I also don't like cold coffee. So there you have it. Just depends on what it is. Loki strategy or double invade strategy in Blood Rage? Usually I tend for the Loki strategy of some way, shape, or form, but double invade is interesting. Paladin or mage in a dungeon crawl? Paladin, because he's a righteous tank. Let's see, tulips or roses? Does somebody say that? Really? Yes? I like roses better. Running away from a boulder or a snake bite? Running away from a boulder. Pork or chicken? Chicken. Dice tower or tray? Depends. But more often than not, dice tower. Left or right? I'm right-handed, so we'll go with right. X-Wing or new Battlestar Galactica spaceship battles? I haven't played Starship Battles enough, so and I haven't played X-Wing in a very long time, so I'm going to say I plead the fifth. Up or down? Down is better, I guess, because walking downhill is a lot more easier than walking uphill. PB must have crunch. You are correct. Tank battles or bird watching? Tank battles? Coke or Pepsi? Don't care. Tight pants or tight shirt? Neither. Bach or Beethoven? Both. Pumpkin pie or pecan pie? Both. I'll have one of each, thank you very much. Wood inserts or foam inserts? Wood inserts are nicer. Foam inserts are lighter. Depends on what you need. Pirates or ninjas? I'm going to go with pirates. Abstract games or manual labor? Abstract games. Because I wouldn't be doing manual labor at that point. Back talk or snack talk? Both. Sharp corner or rounded corner D6? Rounded corner. You don't know me. Cream in your coffee or black coffee? Definitely cream in my coffee. Z or Roy? We don't answer those questions here. We just don't, because it's mean. AC/DC or Metallica? Back in the day, Metallica was my favorite band, so I'll have to go with them. I love you or I know? Both. You can't have one or the other with that circumstance. Corvettes or Ferraris? Neither. I would much rather, buy a house or something to that effect. Arcade video games or pinball? Again, neither of them, because I'd much rather sit down and play a board game. Have you seen the new trailer for War of the Spark? No, I haven't. Ramones or Velvet Underground? Neither. Was not my genre. All right, that's about it, folks. I'm going to go ahead and close this up. Thank you for joining me. I certainly appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to goof around with me here for a little bit. So I appreciate that. And we're going to be doing a lot of stuff this week. We've got a live playthrough coming up tomorrow of a game called Volleyball High. We have another playthrough coming up on Thursday, and I can't remember the name of that game. We have a bunch of other live videos. I'm drawing a blank here. I apologize. But we're also getting ready for a gathering next week. So yeah, got to get back to work. So we're out. It is Kenny's birthday today. So if you see him on Facebook, tell him I told you to say happy birthday to him, because it is his birthday. So there you go. That's it. We're going to get out of here. Thanks for joining. I certainly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.